Hey guys, I'm Taylor and this is Around the House with Brian and Taylor. This summer we decided to get our yard certified as a wildlife habitat. We went through the Tennessee Wildlife Federation. There's lots of organizations you can choose. Usually there's a fee, but with that fee you get a sign or a flag. You can kind of pick what you want. And I would encourage you to go through a nonprofit because at least that way you know the money you spent is helping wildlife in your area. So I want to tell you about some of the plants we chose for our yard this year. And this one has been my favorite. This is lantana. I love it because I love that it has the yellow, orange, and pink all in one flower. It's really pretty. It's done really well in the heat this year, and it's the flower that our hummingbirds visit most, so that's just some of the reasons I love it. We also have verbena here. It's been in the upper 90s for the past several weeks, so it's kind of struggling a little bit. Earlier in the year it was huge and blooming like crazy, and some of the blooms are starting to come back now. But that's one that the hummingbirds visit as well. So this is our bed that gets the most sun in our yard. So we've done a lot of flowers here. As you can see, there's a lot of weeds, but as I mentioned, it's been really hot, so we haven't been tending to it like we should. Part of being a wildlife habitat means that you can't use pesticides and things like that, so weeding is an ongoing project, but that's okay. So I wanted to show you some of the flowers over here. So this cone flower is something we chose for the birds, but it seems to be most visited by bees and butterflies. There's almost always a bee on that plant. Same with these black-eyed Susans. They've been really easy to grow. They've been very drought tolerant. I really love them. I'd like to have more next year. So this is milkweed, and it's not blooming right now, but when it does, it has a really pretty orange flower. I want to have more of that also because that's something that the monarchs really rely on when they're migrating. It's a really great source of food for them. We also have some other things in here, like some verbena and speedwell. Those are some things that have been kind of struggling in the heat. We did do some hydrangeas this year. And this beard tongue, I really wish it was in bloom right now. Unfortunately, it's not. But it is these really pretty red flowers that the hummingbirds really seem to like. So that's some of our kind of butterfly garden area. So this is our shade garden. It's definitely been a problem bed for us. It's not looking great, but I wanted to show it to you so you can maybe learn from some of the mistakes that I've made and hopefully save some money and time in the process. As you can see, it's kind of sparse looking. I got a little excited in early spring before the leaves grew on this tree. This was in full sun, so I planted a bunch of bulbs, a ton of wildflowers. I planted them too early before the first frost, so most of that has died out now. I ended up pulling up all the bulbs because they weren't getting any sun. A mistake I made was planting these hostas, which are really pretty, but for a wildlife habitat you want to have all native plants, and these are not native to our area. I may still keep them. They have these really pretty flowers, and I may keep them because I see the hummingbirds enjoy the flowers quite often. So I'm going to do a little research on that and decide whether or not we want to keep those. I'm going to tell you about some of the bushes and shrubs we chose. This is a rhododendron. This variety is going to have pink flowers. It will also grow 8 feet tall and about 4 feet wide. We started it this year in this lighter green growth you see. That's all it's grown this year, so it's kind of a slow grower. But we chose it because birds really like it as a habitat. It is native, and of course it has the really pretty flowers. So let me show you some of the other bushes we picked as well. So while we're on our way to the blueberry bushes, I wanted to stop and show you this other verbena that I have growing. It's also been pretty drought tolerant. It's all blooming now, you can see. It's kind of coming towards the end and getting those brown spots, but I kind of just wanted you to see it because it's been really pretty right here. So going back to talking about the bushes and shrubs you want to choose, birds really love bushes that have fruits and berries. So down here we planted some blueberry bushes. A lot of it's been overtaken by our tomatoes, but you can see some of them here is one. We have 4 different kinds. You want to get a variety so they can cross-pollinate. Ideally, probably blackberries and raspberries are going to be your best choice if you're choosing them for the birds, but we also wanted to get some blueberries, so that's why we chose those. We also have a few rose bushes that we started this year, and they've been a really pretty addition. I'm looking forward to them growing up really large and kind of covering the back of this area. And here's just a little pepper we have. We do have some potted vegetables and herbs on the porch, but that's really more for our benefit than it is for the wildlife. So my favorite bird that visits the yard are our hummingbirds. One of the things I wanted to tell you is, well, first of all, we have 4 different hummingbird feeders, which helps keep a lot of hummingbirds around. But you can make your own hummingbird feed, and for that you want to use 1 part sugar to 4 parts water. Don't use red dye because that is toxic for hummingbirds, and you want to make sure and clean your feeders every 2 weeks. Thankfully, all of mine are dishwasher safe, but that just keeps bacteria from building up in them and making your hummingbirds sick. But more than anything, more than our plants or anything, I think that our bird feeders and our water sources and our houses is what brings the most birds to our yard. And that's kind of Brian's area. He, picks out all those things, picks out the best food. So I'm going to have him tell you a little bit more about that.
My name is Brian. I want to show you guys a little bit about our birdhouses. We have, I think, 3 of these type of birdhouses for the eastern bluebird, maybe different kinds of sparrows. You can see it is one of the kinds that does open. So at the end of a season when there's like old bird's nest or debris, spider webs, just clean that out. You're ready to go again. Now this is a very new birdhouse. As you can see, there's no birds that live in there. One nice thing about this kind of a birdhouse, it has a predator guard, this little square thing here. It kind of makes it a little further to have to reach in that hole if something's going to try to grab your birds. But we got 3 of these boxes down this fence line, and we're hoping that very soon we'll start getting some birds moving in. I want to show you our bat house. So up in this tree, this is an oak tree by the way, which is a really nice tree to have in your yard if you're trying to attract wildlife. But up there is a bat house. We're hoping that sometime soon we'll get some bats out here. Bats are on the decline. So if you can put up a bat house, that's an awesome thing you can do for wildlife. Now bats are good to have around because they do eat insects like mosquitoes, and we have an abundance of those in our yard. I did read somewhere that it could take maybe 2 to 5 years for bats to move in to start a colony, but we are quite excited about the bat house. We might actually add some more of those. Just in the tree neighboring to us here, we have another bird house. In some of the trees around here, we have like these little hummingbird houses. So I think we've got 3 birdhouses down the fence line, a birdhouse there. There's a birdhouse in one of the bushes, a birdhouse behind the tree where Taylor's standing now, and we might have some more somewhere that I've forgotten about. Come this way, let me show you something else. So this is our bird pole, bird feeder. We've got quite an assortment of bird feeders here. This is kind of like a double feeder. Well, I'll show you this side first. This is just the sunflower seeds. The birds love this. So do the squirrels, unfortunately. This is just your other like normal mixture. We do have a finch feeder of Niger, although I don't really find that the birds that we have enjoy this seed very much. I'm not sure why that is, but I find that they're on this feeder a lot, and this one here. This is a solar feeder. So it's like a stained glass feeder, but it does glow at night. And we keep this one filled with, it's like a shellless hot pepper seed, basically. So birds, they love hot pepper seed. The squirrels won't eat it because it's too spicy for them, but it doesn't seem to bother the birds. So definitely get some hot pepper seed if you have a problem with squirrels. Now sometimes you can see the pole is a little dirty looking. Sometimes we do grease that pole up a bit, and it keeps the squirrels, when they try to climb it, they just slide straight down. We did have a water feature here for the birds. They don't really seem to use this much, and it gets filled with bird seed, so we're actually getting ready to move this to another place. So we've got the 3 feeders on here. We'll probably get another one before long. So let's see, where else can we go? Oh yeah, that tree over there has 3 or 4 feeders in it, so let's go take a look. This is probably my favorite bird feeder that we have. It is kind of pricey actually. I think this was about maybe $35 or $40, and we got this one. I don't remember if it came from Lowe's or Wild Birds Unlimited. I think they sell the same feeder, but in any case, this is a fantastic feeder. The squirrels really don't seem to be able to get the food out of this. This is a really good feeder. In fact, I wish we had more of these. I think we probably will get some more, maybe even some bigger ones. Here's a suet feeder. Birds love this stuff, woodpeckers especially. In fact, you can hear some of the birds now, but I think in this tree we've got maybe 2 suet feeders and the squirrel feeder and 2 hummingbird feeders in this tree as well. In fact, there's a, well, he's flying away now, but there's a tufted titmouse in the tree. You can probably hear him. So suet is great to have. And it also comes, I mentioned earlier on one of the feeders that we have hot pepper seed. The suet feeders also, they're like, basically you can tell it's like a compressed block of protein, I guess is what it is. But you can also buy that in the hot pepper as well, and the squirrels don't eat it. But I find that it still lasts about the same amount of time because we're getting hit with the starlings, the European starlings, and those birds will just come in huge numbers and just eat everything that we have. In fact, I hear a woodpecker over there now, I think. Yep, there's a red-bellied woodpecker right there in the tree. So there is a red-bellied woodpecker on this tree. There he is. So that's a nice visitor that we have. Very pretty birds. And you can see he's enjoying the suet feeder there. But yeah, woodpeckers are very frequent visitors to our yard. We have the red-bellied woodpecker, and we also have the downy woodpecker. I think we probably have had a hairy woodpecker, but I can't quite always tell the difference between them. They're very similar. And most recently we had another woodpecker in the yard. I'm just forgetting the name. Over here behind the coneflowers and the black-eyed Susans, you see the little water feature. It's got a solar disc. We paid about $20, I think, off of Amazon. It works really well. The only problem I find is sometimes if it's really direct sun, this water can maybe be up here, and this container is not very big, so this thing will empty out really quick. I haven't figured out a good solution to that yet, but this whole thing right here probably, I don't know, 25 bucks. So it's very cheap, but a nice little feature to add. Do recommend that you have multiple water features. We've got 3 or 4 at the moment.
So that is most of what we've done so far to build our habitat. It's been awesome. It's almost as soon as we plant a new flower, there's a new bird or a new butterfly at it, so that's been really fun. We've chosen mostly perennials that come back every year, so we can just keep adding as the years go on. We've counted over 27 species of birds in our yard so far. We've seen chipmunks and skunks and possum. So we always get really excited when we see a new bird, and we do have a bird guide, so we look that up, and that's been really fun for us. We're looking forward to seeing new birds in the fall and winter during migration. So hopefully we have inspired you to make a little habitat out of your yard. It's helped us really enjoy sitting on our porch and having coffee in the morning, especially now that we have so many hummingbirds. So hopefully you got some ideas, and if you have any ideas for us, just let us know.